Let's move on to comedy. It's not as interesting as drama, I have to admit, just because. But let's look at who could probably be back in that list. I question maybe whether Blackish might improve its showing from last year, where it did win a Globe for Tracy Ellis Ross, and I think it's doing just as good this season. So that will be there in the running. Master of None, my favorite comedy of last season, hopefully will do well. I think the big story, though, really has to be Will and Grace. That was such a surprise for me. I never expected it to be so good as it was or has been. And I'm expecting nominations across the board. But we know Will and Grace has a history with the Globes, not a great history. I wonder if that's going to change in this new era. Matt, what do you reckon? What do you think about comedy? Anything that I haven't mentioned yet that you think we should be looking out for?
Again, I think Curb Enthusiasm has come back very strong. It's a show that won at the Globes a long, long time ago. And yeah, like these shows like Curb and Will and Grace are interesting because we know the Globes love new stuff. And these are sort of something we haven't seen in a while, but not in and of themselves new things. We've seen these shows at these awards before, probably before most of our old show. Like, you know, Curb Enthusiasm and Will and Grace were around before Veep was created by quite a number of years. So Veep, which will be the sort of veteran returning comedy perhaps here. So I think I could see either of those two winning as sort of like a nostalgia sort of thing. Yeah, I think Master of None's got a great chance. I think that's up the Globes alley. I could see Master of None maybe winning. Yeah. It's the kind of show I could see winning at the Globes. Blackish will be interesting. I feel like after the Emmys this year, it sort of lost a bit of steam, and the show is starting to get maybe a little bit old for Emmy voters as well. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see if any just random things like, what about The Mayor? What about The Good Place? Can that like
I hope
come in and get nominated? I could see that happening at the Globes. I know it's a second season, but the first season was shortish and not, I don't think like, I think the show still feels really newish because I think more people are watching it now than they did in season one. Yeah, so I think there's like it's interesting. I can see a lot of shows getting nominated. I mean, I can see like what shows are probably going to get nominated in terms of Master of None, Veep, Curb, Will and Grace, maybe. But it's hard to know which one of them is going to win. I don't necessarily see a winner as clearly.
Yeah, it's open. It's more open than any other category, I think.
Because they've never loved Veep.
No, they're not big Veep fans, and so that's why we can't just say what we do at the Emmys, which is, oh, well, okay, Veep's in front as it always is, and what's going to maybe topple it. This is different. And so, Riley, what else is in the running here, or where do you think the voters are going to go?
Yeah, this comedy category, or all the comedy categories, just I mean, I don't think any of them are going to get a supporting nomination. I think the supporting categories will be entirely dramas and limited series this year. On the drama side, yeah, we have too many contenders. It's like, okay, all of these shows are definitely getting nominated, but that's impossible. So which one do I take out? On the comedy side, it's kind of like there are not enough contenders. I'm not saying that there are not enough good comedies on TV. It's just that the Globes have kind of very specific parameters of like what they like, and I don't really see them liking any of the options. I mean, you get to comedy actor, and in 5th place, I've got Kevin Bacon for I Love Dick, which was, ignored by the Emmys, but just maybe. I mean, Master of None actually does seem like something that the Globes would like, but I only have it in 5th place because 2 years ago when their first season was eligible, they couldn't even get nominated for series when there was a tie and there were 6 nominees. So I don't know. I mean, Veep has missed a number of times. Will and Grace, I mean, it did come back. It's maybe a little dated for the Globe's taste, especially, which have really embraced cable and streaming in recent years. I don't know if they're going to go back to multi-camera sitcom. The new show that I have coming in series and lead actress is Glow from Netflix, which came out in the summer. Maybe doesn't have as much buzz right now, but it's a new show. People liked it.
That's really a lot. That's a big factor for the Globes. That's all we really have to say. But A few of the other shows, just looking at the list, that remember when Casual made it? That was the Globe's way of getting Hulu in. So that's something that it's a very left field choice, but along those lines, in terms of left field choices, I was thinking maybe like Santa Clarita Diet. That didn't do well at the Emmys at all, but it was slightly buzzy when it was on Netflix. It's a little old though now, so I'm not really putting a lot of faith in that one. Young Sheldon got a really big push from the CBS like PR department when it first premiered, and I'm wondering if they're going to have done the same thing with Globe voters, so that could be around. And I was thinking of things like The Good Place, which is what Matt was already mentioned. Episodes is back in its final season for Showtime. That's got a lot of kind of like gravitas. It's kind of cool and edgy, and it's kind of British-esque, so that could help it. And then finally, I think Mozart in the Jungle, we can't really ignore that, because the Globes have been the only people to have really, really embraced that show. And I can say with hand on heart that the third season, the one that's aired in this eligibility period, was its best. Was it third or fourth? I can't even remember now. It was its best. It had Monica Bellucci. It was set in Venice. It was brilliant, very, very funny. So that could certainly be back as well. So there's, who knows? Yeah.
I also wonder if, because the Globes are a very small group. It's about 90 voting members. It doesn't take a lot. If you got 15 people that are passionate about a show, it can get in here. And I just wonder if something like Netflix's Atypical,
right?
Which deals with an important issue. Well, not important issue, but it's got someone who's got autism and follows them in a very sort of funny but touching and good way. And people I've spoken to who have seen that show really like that show. A lot of people I speak to haven't seen it, but that could be the show that just if 15 voters have connected with that, have liked that and vote for that, that could get in. Or the lead actor of that show could get in. So I could see Atypical actually also sort of surprising here and coming out, especially if there's members of the Hollywood Foreign Press who have people with autism in their family.
Yeah, that's absolutely possible. So again, we just need a very small margin of people to kind of throw their weight behind a particular show, and it gets in. Let's quickly talk about the comedy acting categories. I personally think that the four actors from Will and Grace will all make it in, and we could see a couple of them win to atone for Will and Grace's not great showing over the years at the Golden Globes.
What is it? 27 losses now?
Yeah, I don't even know if it's a record, but it was. But the fact that it was always nominated, it was always there. It had a really good showing and never won anything. It means that they kind of liked it, they watched it, but not enough. It was, Sarah Jessica Parker won a heap of Golden Globes for Sex and the City, and yet Will and Grace wasn't able to crack that. So I think they're going to actually atone for it. I really do. I just have this kind of premonition. I could be completely wrong. I usually am. That's what I think. That's really the only show on the comedy side that's really going to crack the acting supporting categories. And then I don't know. Are there any particular names in mind, Riley, that you think that we should be looking out for in the comedy acting categories?
I've got Hank Azaria for Brockmire, which is on IFC, which I don't think they've ever nominated before, but I think with the Globes that might actually be a plus, because then they can discover it. Just a couple to touch on a couple things that you said. I did this article a few years ago about what happens when the Globes, they award a show, then the Emmys ignore it, and then what usually happens after that is the Globes say, okay, yeah, sorry. I get that. Which is what I thought would happen with Mozart in the Jungle, but they actually did the opposite, where they kind of doubled down on it. So yeah, I've got that one coming back. And
it's good to know.
And Young Sheldon too. I don't know what's going on with that show. I mean, CBS, they premiered it, it retained 98% of the Big Bang Theory audience, and then they put it on hiatus for 5 weeks. And then episode 2 aired, lost 42% of the audience from the first episode. I'm not sure what's going on over there. That was the strangest scheduling decision I've seen lately. I have Will and Grace winning as well.
And Matt?
Yeah, I think Riley mentioned earlier, so I think Alison Brie has a great chance of breaking in here. And she's the kind of person that once she breaks into the race, it wouldn't be out of the question for her to win that race. I think they love giving it to new people, and I think Alison Brie's got some sort of like clout or like buzz, coolness, or whatever. I'm not wording that very well, but anyway, in comedy actor, I'm seeing more like, you know, maybe Larry David returns. I think Ted Danson could maybe break in if they connect with The Good Place. Yeah, and yeah, it's really interesting. I could see Willa Grace could like get in everywhere or miss out a couple places. I don't have Eric McCormack in my predictions at the moment. I think he's got in some ways, the toughest climb of all the 4 actors, but he's right on the cusp there. So it's more just that my actor race is a little bit, you know, crowd for Aziz Ansari, Anthony Anderson, and Larry David, who are sort of more past nominees returning. But if one of them drops out, I think Eric McCormack takes their spot.
Yeah, I see that I have Deborah Messing getting nominated and nobody else from the show getting nominated, and then the show winning. So we'll see if that logic pans out. I think somebody that we have to watch out for in the drama side, but right now is listed in the prediction center on the comedy side, is Melissa Leo for I'm Dying Up Here, which is Showtime. She is, I think she plays like the owner of a comedy club, but Showtime has consistently referred to it as a drama in all their press releases since before the show came out, pushing it drama for some reason. But if it does come into comedy, or even if it stays in drama, Melissa Leo is going to be somebody who's campaigning with the Globe voters on the film side. And it seems like we do have some opening or some leeway in these categories, so I could see her sneaking in.
Okay, that's a good point.